Hey, this is Barry Karch, the real estate unsalesperson. And if you really want to learn how to level up your life, you should be listening to the Time to Shine Today podcast with my good friend, Scott Ferguson. Let's level up.
Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson. We're at episode 310 with the real estate unsalesperson, my really good friend and fellow real estate broker, Barry Karch. And Barry is an unashamed, admitted introvert. And I think that is just absolutely fantastic. And what people don't know about me is I am very much introverted, but if they see me on stage or they see me talking to clients or work in a room, they would think that I'm not, but I am, and I just really don't admit to it that much like my good friend Barry does. And in this episode, he's going to, whether you're in the real estate business or any business or even with your family, he's going to describe the strengths of being an introvert and how it can be used to full effect to help you level up and help others level up around you. So without further ado, break out your notebooks or your digital note taker because Barry drops some serious knowledge nuggets. Let's level up. Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and those of you that know, I'm a real estate agent and a real estate investor for my day job, and I love talking shop and talking to people that help others legitimately level up, and that's what my good friend Barry Karch does. He's always considered himself an unlikely realtor, quiet, introverted, unsalesly, not your prototypical formula for success. Yet Barry has been a top-selling realtor for 36 years, selling as many as 100 homes per year. He has come to realize that being an introvert in real estate gives him many advantages over his more extroverted colleagues like myself. He has created a podcast called The Real Estate Unsalesperson. Don't go there yet. Listen to what he has to say. He's going to drop some solid knowledge nuggets, but make sure you do subscribe to his show. It's absolutely fantastic. And his show is used to encourage and inspire his fellow introverted realtors. And it's just launched the UnSalesperson community, which you can find at Patreon, which I'll throw that link in the show notes as well. Barry's mission is to teach introverts that they have what it takes to succeed in real estate. Barry, thank you so much for coming on. Please introduce yourself to the Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
My favorite color is blue because spending most of my life in the desert, I love water in the ocean.
I love it. And I'm looking at the Atlantic right now. If that makes
I'm
you
jealous. I am jealous.
It was a dream of mine growing up is to have a place on the ocean, right? And it's like, and doing the podcast from here is absolutely a blessing. And Barry, let's get to the roots of your kind of journey as a real estate professional. Because they look at us as realtors as maybe the bottom three rungs of the ladder with accountants, sales, car sales, and then realtors or lawyers. We're all kind of bunched down there. Let's hear your journey, because I've got to hear your journey just coming from an introverted aspect.
Okay, well, I never set out to be a realtor. I never expected to be a realtor. I've always considered myself an unlikely realtor. I went to college at UT Austin, and I was a good student. I got A's. In my classes, so I had a lot of options. I could have done a lot of different things. I'm probably more suited to be an engineer or an accountant.
You're stealing my questions, man.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, no, for real. I'm sorry, go ahead. More suited to be something more of an introvert does. Okay.
But when I was young in my early 20s, I didn't really have a drive or desire. I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. I just wasn't pulled in any direction. I was kind of directionless. Right. Like I was doing my classes, doing well, but I wasn't excited about anything. So my parents were in real estate and they were doing well. And I just not knowing what to do, I thought, I guess I'll follow their steps and go into real estate and see how I do at it. I'm a completely different type of person than my father. He was very domineering, intimidating. I'm completely different than him, but I decided I'm going to try real estate and follow his footsteps. I mean, somewhat, but so that's how I ended up in the career. It wasn't a choice. It was just kind of by default. I didn't know what else to do.
Okay. And with your father and your parents, were they pretty supportive as you kind of came into the business?
Oh, they were very supportive. They really wanted me in the business. They tried to help me. It's just we did things. I learned a lot from my father.
Okay.
He ran the brokerage,
Okay.
and he was one of the top salespeople. So I learned a lot of what to do. I got a lot of good lessons, and like everyone's different. I learned a lot what not to do too because of different personalities. So I kind of had to find my own way and see what I was comfortable at and what fit. But yeah.
So being an introvert and an admitted introvert, what challenges did you first find coming into the real estate business, and what did you do to overcome them?
Okay. Well, when I started in the business, the sales trainers at the time, now I'm going way back.
Floyd Wickman and stuff like that.
I'm an old guy here now. Somehow I started in the middle 80s.
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't look like you could be that old enough to be able to do it, but no, I appreciate it. So middle 80s was before my time, but interest rates are probably in the double digits, correct?
They
Possibly?
were. They had just dropped below 10. They went down to 9.5. They got below double digits for the first time in I don't know how long when I started. Right. And everyone was so excited, like, wow, it's single digits now. It was like such a great thing. People would be revolted now if they saw a 9.5% rate, but that was awesome in those days. But when I started, there were a lot of sales trainers and they all preached dialogue. I think more so then than now. Mm-hmm. And they were saying, here's what you have to say in this situation. And if you get this objection, here's what you say. And if that doesn't work, here's what you say.
Right.
And it was all so unnatural to me. Like I listened to it, I studied it, but like, I can't do this. This is not me. Right. This sounds so phony coming out of my mouth. Right. So that was my first experience in real estate. And I decided I'm just going to be myself. I'm not going to do this.
Love it.
I'm just going to try to be a regular, friendly, helpful guy and try to help my clients achieve their goals, but I'm not going to be phony. And that's how I started.
I love it. So what do you feel are the advantages of being an introvert in the biz?
You know, there's a lot of advantages. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times people tend to think, oh, I got to be really outgoing to be successful in sales. I got to be great at networking. And the truth is you don't. Looking back on my career, I found that being an introvert has been a major plus to whatever success I've had. It's been
sure.
So some of the advantages I found is I generally am fairly quiet. I'm not that talkative. So my clients get to talk a lot.
Yes.
And people love talking, right? Most people love talking about themselves. So I'm just there listening and letting them talk. And that makes them feel really good about themselves.
I love that you said that because, my mom always said God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And you're actually being introverted because it's funny. I kind of go into the introversion when I'm starting to work with a client because, I'm more interested in their story than they are about than I am about telling them mine. Right. Because you're dealing with arguably probably their biggest investment that they're making to that point in their life. Right.
Most likely. Yes.
Yeah. So listening is so key. And you hear that other agents out there listening is key because so many people are ready with that, Floyd Wickman or Mike Ferry or whatnot. And I love those guys, but they're rebuttals, right? And just to come back and be ready. And so, you seek to understand, right, what they're saying. And that being an introvert really, really helps you do that. And, thank you for doing that, So what do you feel then is the biggest challenges to be an introvert in the business?
The biggest challenge I think I face sometimes is I don't want to come across as too quiet or not aggressive enough. If I'm going on a listing appointment, I want the seller to feel comfortable that I'm going to be out there marketing their house and doing all I can to get it sold. Right. I don't want them to feel that I'm too laid back, too quiet. So I have to try to overcome that.
Okay. And what exercises have you kind of implemented, or did you just let it organically kind of happen with regards to?
I just let it organically. Let it organically happen. I just try to be myself. And I think you just develop self-confidence over time. After you do it for a while, you make some mistakes and you learn, and then you get better and better at your craft, and you develop some confidence, and you know what you're going to do when you come to their house, and you follow your normal procedures, and they follow along and come to trust you.
Love it. So let's go back to 2008 and 2009. How did you navigate that minefield of the market?
You know what? I was actually pretty fortunate because my market I worked in was El Paso, Texas, and
Okay.
we're such a different market. We don't usually follow the national trends.
Right.
When prices go up like crazy elsewhere, El Paso, not too much.
Mhm.
But when prices go down like crazy elsewhere, not too much in El Paso
Oh.
either. So yeah, they went down. I mean, I'm not saying it didn't happen, but
Mhm.
not to the extent of other places. And also a big plus was at the time, um, Obama was president, and he came out with this program. It was a tax credit. People got, I believe, $8,000 cash back for
Yeah.
buying a house.
Yeah.
And that was such a plus to market and use.
Right.
So a lot of people took advantage of that and bought homes because they knew they're getting 8,000 back on their tax return. So actually those years were good years for me.
I love that you have the positivity on it. I didn't listen to my advisors because I was printing money. Remember the days when if you had a pulse and said that you made, 200,000 a year, you were getting a loan, the ninja
Mhm.
loans and stuff like that. And I didn't listen, didn't bank my money. I kind of lost everything. I was really arrogant. My story is very well known and documented out there in the world. But I kind of turned and did short sales. That
Mhm.
was the thing. And I ended up in 4 years closing 400 short sales, which
Wow.
kind of double dips, with that. But I'm not saying that to impress anybody, but what it was the lessons we learned in shifting with the economies and basically making it more of a people-oriented business. And I just feel that the introverts are more people-oriented. They resonate a lot more with their clients because they actually are listening a lot more than they're talking. And I really appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, Scott, it sounds almost counter to what you would think, but being an introvert and letting other people talk more and listening to them, it allows you to develop trust with your clients. They come to trust me more because they know I'm not aggressive, I'm not pushing them out, trying to close them
Right.
constantly.
Right.
They open up, they trust me, and we're able to work together quite well. So it's a plus.
I love it. So talk to me now that we're back into being able to network. And I saw some of your social media posts where you're out and about a little bit there. What is your technique of working a room? Like building relationships while you're networking as an introvert?
Well, working a room is definitely not one of my strengths.
Thank you for admitting it, man.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that, brother. But I see you out, I don't see you, but on the social, and I see you're out, pressing some flesh and meeting people. But what did you do to kind of get over the fear of maybe starting a conversation when maybe the other person isn't wanting to talk?
Well, it's taken some time to grow comfortable with that. And I don't want to give the impression that I'm good at that because I am still not good at that. And
Sure.
we don't have to be good at everything, but we just have to find what we can do and are comfortable at. And introverts are generally better one-on-one with people than in big crowds. Or so working a room, networking, not strengths of mine. If I'm with someone one-on-one, I can do a conversation with them and
Yeah.
talk to them and learn
Right.
more about their life. And I try to find out about them rather than talking about myself. So I can do that. But
Love it. Do you use
going
the
around-
Ford? Do you use
I'm
the
sorry, go
Ford?
ahead.
Do you use the Ford technique at all?
do I use the Ford? Once in a blue moon, I should. That's a great technique,
Yeah.
but I don't consciously follow it.
Okay. Gotcha. I just noticed that made me shut my mouth, as I kind of grew more mature in the business. As my coach is
Yeah.
like, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. You can build your whole database out on the client with that one
Right.
technique alone. And that's actually something that a good friend of ours, our mutual connection, Ashley Harwood, the introvert, move over introverts, as well as she said that she works it that way as well. So Barry, have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
I have. It's been a long time,
Me
so I don't
too.
remember a
Can't
lot of
believe
it, but
it's
I did
coming
see
up
it.
on like 40 years, dude. It's
Yeah.
nuts, right? So
Yeah.
let's get in that DeLorean with Marty. Let's go back to the Double Deuce, the 22-year-old Barry.
Yeah.
With the knowledge you have now, what would you tell him? Not so much to change anything, but to maybe help him shorten his learning curve, blast through and level up, maybe just a little bit quicker.
Oh, there's a lot of things, looking back, I would have done differently. I wish I had known. Probably number one of them all is don't be afraid to invest money in your business.
Oh,
I was so cheap when I started. Whenever I got any money, I didn't want to give it up. I didn't want to spend it on advertising or marketing. I wouldn't spend any money for a long time.
sure.
So spending money on yourself is probably your best investment because you can make a great return on it. So don't be afraid to do that.
Love it. And what got you over that hump of opening up that checkbook or that, well, that's dating us, right? But maybe the credit card. Like, what made you kind of get over that? Because being an introvert, I know a lot of introverts like in this business as well, and they will take a lot more time methodically. Like, what got you over the hump to really pull that trigger? And what was a product or a service that you got that really helped you level up?
Okay. Well, I guess over time, you have to evolve with the market. The world is completely different than it was in the 1980s when I started. I mean, when I started back then, it was the Stone Age.
Yeah.
No one, I mean, this is going to be hard for your younger listeners to even imagine, but
I know where you're
no
going,
one had
dude.
no one had a computer. No one
Right.
had a cell phone.
Yeah.
I had a beeper. I mean, so that's where I came from. So I had to learn to adapt. And so one of the things that really, this is going to, not be earth shattering to the current people in the business, but one year I had a decent year, but not a great year in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided, you know what, I got to try to do something different to grow my business. And I saw an advertisement from a company to create a website, which is, nowadays no big deal, but I didn't have one back in the 90s, and it cost a lot of money. It was a big chunk to have someone create one. So I decided I'm going to invest in this and do it. And that transformed my business. I went from just having to generate local leads to I got leads from all over the place, people relocating to El Paso all of a sudden, and it transformed things. And I didn't, many things along the line. I keep evolving with the times and to survive this long.
And it paid for itself in the long run, and it
continues
continues to do so. Thank you for saying that, Barry. So do you remember the days of the MLS books? I caught the last 2 years of those.
Yeah.
Remember the stealing the pages? Not me, but agents would actually steal the pages out of them. People would come in during floor time, be like, I want to see this property. And it's in Squad, if you don't know what it is, like right now, if you are looking for a house, you go on the computer and go to realtor.com or whatnot. Back in the day, and especially Barry's day, they had books and they had the MLS listings or the real estate listings in there. And you hope that it wasn't sold because there's nothing to update them. I love it. That's just a little back in time story. That's fantastic. So Barry, how do you want your dash remembered then? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date, your life date and death date on your tombstone, which hopefully it's a long ways down the road. How do you want your dash remembered?
I hope so. Yes, Scott. I wanted to be remembered that he made a difference and he left the world a better place. And that's my main focus right now. That I'm midlife or beyond. I'm trying to give back and support causes that are near and dear to my heart.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for doing that. So Barry, do you ever eat alone?
Do I ever eat alone?
Yeah, at a restaurant.
Yes, I do that. And I eat alone in my car a lot on the way to appointments in real estate.
I love it.
Because I'm driving.
You've just kind of recently started a fitness journey, right? A little bit where I see you're running some crazy miles and you had a conversation with a friend that looked fit and good. And you look great, brother. Compared to other pictures and whatnot, not to say you weren't a handsome devil then, but like, I'm just saying, like, you look great. How's that going for you?
Oh, great, Scott. Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
I'd always been kind of fitness has always been important to me because I want to live as long and healthy of a life as possible. So I've always done a lot of running. I've run for 20 some odd years, but I stopped competing in races and marathons over like 20 years ago, but the eating continued. I never stopped eating. And I have a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
And so the pounds were adding on and on and on. And I was
Right.
up way from what I used to be. So I decided, finally, I kept asking myself, when is this going to stop? When am I going to make this change? Finally, I reached the point when I went out to lunch with my friend that you saw
Yeah.
that, you know, I need to go the other direction. And so I've been on this journey the last 3 months. I'm down 21 pounds and
Congratulations,
I'm feeling great and I'm running a lot harder than ever and just really psyched about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And may I ask your age?
Yes, you may. I just turned 61.
Are you kidding me? Wow.
No.
Like, squad, if you are on, look at the camera real quick in case they're watching. Look at this guy, man. He fantastic. I'm 11 years behind him. I want to be him.
What you can't see on this video, fortunately, is the back part of my head where all the hair is missing.
Yeah, the real estate will do that to you.
Yeah.
Hey, Barry, if we take out, family or not family, let's take out of this question, like the basics, like family, air, water, food, and also anything electronic. Okay. What are 3 things that Barry can't live without? Outside of that, we'll make family number 1, but what's your second and third things that you can't live without?
Things or boy,
People, places, things, a noun. What are 3
Okay.
things you can't live without?
That's a good question. Good question. I'm going to say I can't live without concerts. I love going to concerts.
Oh, you saw the Eagles, my favorite
saw the
band of all
Eagles.
time, dude.
Yeah, I just saw them. They were great.
Oh my gosh.
They were
And,
great. I love
yeah.
the show.
dude,
I love concerts. I love music.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. Man, I got to hang out when I come to Texas, dude, for sure.
yeah.
Excellent. What's the third thing, my friend?
The third thing is going to be dogs. I absolutely love dogs. So
What are those dogs that you got?
I got 3 little squirts.
Yeah.
They're a Shih Tzu, a Maltipoo, and one's a mutt. They're all little things.
That's awesome. I have a pit I rescued. And he's on my paddleboard every morning, and he makes sure we go to this little beachside cafe. Pretty much everyone, he says hi to everybody. It's my guy's Stitch. So I love that you're a dog. Dude, you and I are like we brothers with different mothers, man. I'm telling you right now, because I do have an introverted side to me, believe it or not. I eat by myself all the time. I don't like doing lunches with people and stuff like that. But I can work a room, and when I'm on stage, people are like, "You're crazy." When I'm speaking and stuff like that. But I love, we are so aligned. This is just awesome. So what is Barry's definition of a life well lived?
My definition of a life well lived is being active, having a lot of experiences, saying yes to things. I see some people that become too sedentary. They just sit around. They don't want to do anything. They're complacent. So just the opposite, doing stuff, being active, getting out there.
That's awesome. Have you ever seen the movie Yes Man?
I have not.
Jim Carrey, you have to watch it. In Introvert, I tell every one of my clients that I coach that's introverted to watch Yes Man. It's hilarious.
I'm gonna write this down.
Yeah, you watch it. You'll laugh. It's Jim Carrey at his best. And it's just basically just a really quick synopsis. This guy that says no to everything in life. And then he was he was coerced to say yes to everything. And then the experiences that he got from that, and then just picture Jim Carrey doing these experiences. So it's
I got to check that out.
Yeah, you have to be an introvert. You have to, any client that I have coaching or any other realtor that's kind of quiet, I'm like, watch this. It's not life-changing, but it just puts a fun spin on it as well. That's awesome. Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. We are back with my introverted rockstar real estate professional, Barry Karch. And Barry, you and I will meet one day. I'm going to make sure of that 100% for sure.
I would love it.
Yes. And we'll probably talk a lot of these questions for like 15, 20 minutes, but you got 5 seconds to answer them with no explanations. You ready to level up?
Let's do it.
All right. Barry, what is the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
From my father, make things happen.
Yes. share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
I have a list of things I want to accomplish on my desk. So first thing every morning, I know exactly what I want to do and what I want to accomplish.
Beautiful. Love that. So other than your website, the real estate, UnSalesperson.com, and of course, Time to Shine Today, my shameless plug, what other website do you go to level up?
What other website do I go to level up? I am a fan of the real estate trainer, Brian Buffini. So
Yeah.
I like his website.
Boof. Love it. Love it. So if you see me walk down the street and you're like, Fergie looks like he's in his doldrums a little bit, what book might you hand me to maybe make a shift in my mind?
I really enjoyed the book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. He talks about how making just little small changes in your life can lead to big results.
Doesn't it? Like here we coach inch by inch, it's a cinch. By the yard, it's hard, right? So anybody that I coach or any agents I take under my wing where I just see that it factor, that's one of the first things I say because they want that $1 million sale right now. I'm just totally breaking my own rules. I apologize. So what's your most commonly used emoji when you text?
I'm not big on emojis. I don't generally use any.
Good enough. Nicknames growing up?
I didn't have any.
I'm calling you BK then. I love it.
Okay.
So, and don't lie to me on this one, BK, but if you could stay one age for the rest of your life physically, keep the knowledge you've garnered and continue to gain knowledge, what age physically would you stay for the rest of your life?
With my current knowledge, I'd love to be 24.
Yes, right? I always say put a 2 or a 3 on the front and I'll believe you. Love it. Love it. Chess, checkers, or Monopoly?
Monopoly.
Oh, you better say that, my friend. So what's your go-to ice cream flavor on your cheat day?
Chocolate.
All right, my man. There's a sandwich named the BK, the B Karch. What's on that sandwich?
That's going to have some good old Texas beef brisket and barbecue sauce.
I love it. I love it. You can get in a time machine for one day. Okay, one day, and you come back. When you travel, you can't change a thing. Just observe. Would you go any time in the past or any time in the future?
Definitely the future.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Favorite charity and organization you like to give your time or money to?
Pets Alive. San Antonio Pets Alive.
Thank you for doing that, brothers. Is that like a no-kill shelter kind of thing?
It is.
Good for you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Love it. Last question, and you can elaborate a little bit on this one, but what is the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
That's a tough one. I think most people probably like the music that they grew up with during high school. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's going to be the 70s. Mm-hmm. I'm going with the 70s, although I'm a huge Beatles fan, so it's tough with the 60s in there, but 70s I got to do.
Oh, the Beatles had number one hits in the 70s.
Classic rock.
I love it. So another question I ask every once in a while is like, Beatles or the Stones, or I also add in their Beach Boys or the Four Seasons, because all four of those kind of rolled through the 60s and 70s. I mean, the Four Seasons is like one of my favorite groups. I see Frankie Valli every time he comes to South Florida here, and he's like 86 now or something, and he still brings it. But Four Seasons had a number one hit before the Beatles, during the Beatles, and after the Beatles.
Wow.
It's just crazy. So, but thank you for answering that like that. And the Eagles obviously are 70s band, so that's
Eagles,
fantastic.
Uh-huh.
So Barry, how can we find you, my friend?
Well, the best place, I guess, would be the real estate UnSalesperson.com, the website. And there's also the podcast called The Real Estate UnSalesperson, wherever you listen to podcasts.
I love that. I love that. I loved your blue collar realtor because I started my business, real estate business in Detroit, and it's a very blue collar area. Mm-hmm. And that show resonated with me. And Squad did all of it'll be in the show notes, links to his podcast, links to his website. Just dig into the podcast. It's fantastic, especially if you're a real estate professional as well. So Barry, do me one last solid favor here and leave us with one last knowledge nugget we can take with us, internalize, and take action on.
Okay. I would say, be sure, something I wish I'd done younger, be sure to save and invest at least 10% of every dollar you earn from the very beginning. It's going to multiply like crazy over the decades.
I love it. I love it. Again, inch by inch, it's a cinch, man. And like DH says, the compounding effect, that's fantastic. And squad, I love this conversation with my good friend, Barry Karch. And we're from opposite ends of the spectrum, but him and I could hang out, listen to music together, grab some brisket, maybe put back a couple brain grenades or adult beverages or whatever you want to call them. And I look forward to doing that with him one day. But, he was not excited about the career, like getting into engineering. He saw his parents having success in real estate. He decided to take the chance, the plunge, if you will, and being an introvert, one major advantage is that they really listen because they have stuff to say, but they don't really put it out there. But my good friend Barry here listens not only with his ears, but all the other senses, his eyes, his posture. I can just see him with a client and the client knowing that Barry is really engaged. And that is such a strong personality trait that you have to have in any business, not just real estate. But Barry also admits his weaknesses and continues to work through them. He will remind you, and no matter what business you're in, don't be afraid to invest money. And if you don't know how to, do your research, or like my good friend Leah Woodford would say, get your asking gear. Ask for people that have been there, getting there, and ask them what they might do as well. He reminds us you have to evolve with the market. There's going to be shifts, pivots, changes that you're going to do. He's going to be remembered as someone that really made a difference. Okay, he's planting trees, squad, that he's never going to sit in the shade of because he listens and he provides service. He's a total go-giver. He believes a life well lived is, be active and experience life. Say yes to things, because what's the worst that can happen? I mean, make sure what you're saying yes to is safe, but say yes to the things that can help you level up. And lastly, and this is super important, especially the younger squad out there, is that to be sure to save and invest 10% of every dollar you earn. Like I believe it was Brian Tracy might have said, pay yourself first. Take that first 10% and put it into something that is going to grow for you, because with the compounding effect that Barry mentioned, it will make your life a hell of a lot more comfortable. And that's something that I'm really glad that I did, started in 1999. So Barry, thank you so much for coming on. You level up your health, you level up your wealth, you're humble, yet hungry and curious. You've earned your varsity squad letter here at Time to Shine today. I just love your guts, man. Can't wait to connect live and press some flesh and enjoy some brisket, man.
Sounds great, Scott. And you do a fantastic job, and I love your show.
Thanks, brother. I'll talk to you soon, Barry.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today podcast, proudly brought to you by Sutter & Nugent Real Estate Excellence, who can be reached at 561-249-7266 and online at www.sutterandnugent.com. If you're a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on Time to Shine Today, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also there, you will see our recommended resources. We hope that you will support our show by supporting them. If you like what you've been listening to, it'd be great if you could just give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's our time to shine.